Europe CEO dialogue took place last Friday. The big message that came from there is that there is huge untapped potential in the trade relationship between Southern Africa and Europe. Now, while the global economy has been battered by COVID-19, the two regions do need to be prepared for the post-COVID phase. To talk about some of the issues that were raised by that dialogue, I'm joined now by Marina Mira, a senior consultant at the European House Ambrosetti. Thank you, Marina, for your time. I hope I got that surname correctly without mangling it. I wanted you to take us through the main issues that came up at that meeting. I do take the point about the opportunities, but I want to know where they are.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, actually, we had 2 days summit. It was one on the 26th and the other one on the 27th. Where we discussed the opportunities of for the recovery, for the next recovery. But if you let me explain a little bit what are we talking about, what is our summit and what has been our event all over the years. Actually, we launched the summit, the Southern Africa-Europe CEO dialogue 7 years ago, in order to foster bilateral relations between South Africa and Italy and which is the core of our community. And we started in Cape Town in 2016. Then we moved to the summit in Johannesburg, thanks to the strong support of the province of Gauteng. And after that, we expanded the platform at regional level, involving other European business leaders and the SADC countries. Yeah. And let me explain, before talking specifically to this about this edition, what are the fundamentals of this initiative, which to us is very important to say, because this is not a nearly based event, as there are many in the region, although it is important to stress the continuity over the years of this summit. But actually, it's a real international policy tool that the European House Ambrosetti launched to build a platform of relations, knowledge, to share experience and trust, which we feel they are the precondition to create the solid business background and to assure economic and commercial development in the long term. In fact, we are involving different levels in our initiative, national institutional level through the embassies and Minister of Foreign Affairs, and subnational levels with a strong commitment of Gauteng province and Italian regions, private company levels, different bodies, and like the Industrial Association, the Italian Chambers of Commerce in South Africa, the Italian Trade Agency, the GGDA, and so far and so on. Sure. So what we have what we've been discussing this year was, of course, the opportunity that our business communities can find after this terrible period of the COVID-19. Yeah. So the areas where we focused were basically beside a dialogue among the CEOs that were the core of our summit. We discussed two levels of areas of opportunities. The first one was the infrastructure and connectivity opportunities, investment opportunities, in view of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Right. We had Minister Fiziki Mbalula attending the summit, and a panel of important investors like Bosch, Vodacom, Lukina Res in the railways sector, the Bolloré Logistics, to discuss the opportunities in infrastructures and transportations. Sure. And then the second area of very important is all the investment opportunity related to the energy transition, which is, we know, the challenge of the future for all the countries, and in South Africa, of course, is involved on on this. So we discussed about the renewables, but also about the smart grids, smart transmissions. Minister Barbara Creasy was attending, and a panel of companies like Terna, leader in worldwide leader in energy transmission and smart grids, then other European companies such as Siemens Energy, such as Green Powers, such as Iberdrola, Spanish. They are all companies that have already invested here or that are about to invest because of this opportunity.
Yeah. So you said over 2 days you had this summit, and you covered infrastructure, you covered energy opportunities. I wanted to know how many CEOs attended this summit.
Well, we were, as you know, or if you don't know, I tell you, we had a phygital summit. So we have a physical summit held in Johannesburg, and then a connection through all the world with other participants from Italy, Europe, and so on. And overall, we were around 250 connected. Most of them CEOs, because our goal is to stimulate the willing of know South Africa, allowing also South African to know Italy and Europe, and to promote business and investment. So we focused our summit on decision makers.
Yeah. So tell me, you raised these issues around infrastructure and energy and spoke about the opportunities. What were some of the issues that were raised by the Europeans? Because we know in Southern Africa we do need money. We've got the need, we've got the projects, but of course money and expertise is what we don't have. What were some of the issues that were raised that perhaps might be preventing European companies looking at our region?
Well, the opportunities are there, and European investors, especially in those two sectors, are very interested, especially because the opportunity is not only South Africa itself, but is South Africa as a platform to enter in the other African markets and to take advantage, especially in the near future, of the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. The challenges are very few. Of course, the problem is how to facilitate investors, how to facilitate and to create the business environment to facilitate investments. And there have been several challenges have been discussed, but overall everybody were very keen in investing in the future. Actually, most of them announced further investment starting already in 2021, despite the COVID situation and the problems that they faced during this terrible year.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Marina, actually, whether we are going to see a lot of money coming into South Africa, into Southern Africa post this summit, and if you have got any specific projects that you can share with us that was announced at this summit.
Well, for instance, CNH, which is an important Italian group, has announced that almost 35 million euros of investment starting from January. And so other companies were saying that they are going to implement their facilities here in view of further development. For instance, Lucchini RS are already planning to export from South Africa and reinforce the investment in South Africa to export to Zambia and to other SADC countries. But I would like also to stress the fact that it's very important not only to think about investment, fixed investment itself, themselves. I think it's very important to consider the opportunity of relaunching the trade activities that has been very much affected during this year. trade, we feel, is somehow even more important than few fixed investment in the region. Trades allow companies to start knowing the market, to start understanding the needs of the product adaptations of in the market, and then to hire distributors, to develop local after-sales activities, to create a network of local suppliers, and ultimately to invest. So I think that our platform has been useful, especially to allow the participants to understand that there is a market there, that there is a willing to develop the activities and the relationships. And I think this is the most important achievement. And many companies now, over these years, but especially this specific year, have been really involved in understanding the opportunities and the potentialities.
Marina, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for sharing that detail with us. We'll certainly try and keep up with you. So if there are any big other projects that come through, we certainly will reach out to you. That's Marina Mira a senior consultant at the European House Ambrosetti. And I was just checking out actually what they do. And this summit is apparently a platform for engagement between the CEOs of Southern Africa and the CEOs of Europe, obviously with an Italian emphasis. It describes here as being built around the Ambrosetti Senior Community African Chapter, an exclusive circle of Southern African and European business leaders aimed at promoting closed-door interaction and network building amongst its members and prominent guests. We get educated every single day. All right, before I go